So, good morning, good afternoon from my end as well to everyone all around the world. It's a big pleasure for us to participate today in this conference and to show you a bit. Garcia just said we have our around 170,000 EUTM filings. We have another approximately 30,000 opposition proceedings, and technology, new technologies, new tools are really also in our examination practice. And we bring together today Pablo, a colleague from the absolute grounds area, and Sam, he's a relative grounds examiner, and both of them have brought a small presentation about tools that we are using on a daily basis in the examination of trademark proceedings. Before we start with this, I wanted to give a quick reminder or update on TMView, the EUIPO flagship search tool. It is also artificial intelligence infused. We have a new image search tool available on TMView. And just to give a short overlook, what our customers can already do today in the search of trademarks. So as you may know, TMView is a AI-assisted trademark search, and customers can easily access it and interact with our artificial intelligence tool. So TMView contains millions of trademarks from different IP offices around the world, and it is updated daily and free to use. And the last change, I think, is a beta version. We have a EUIPO image search included, where a couple of offices are now participating. And here I wanted to quickly show you the functionality of it. So I took this picture from the European Parliament's press article about the European Union artificial intelligence legislation. So we have a virtual avatar and a trademark examiner. It is very easy. We just drag and drop this image into TMView. We can also define the area where we are looking for. For example, if we only want to have one part or one section of the image to be searched, and then we immediately get search results with the usual filters on the left hand. So we can search by class. We can, and then we get in this particular search, I looked for trademarks in Europe and Asia. So you will see all the national offices participating. You can easily click and select all of them. And then we can get a very nice overview of the search results. So we see here a strong presence in China in these among the search results. As expected, there are class 9, 35, and 42. The digital classes, so to say, are predominant also. For the image search, we can see the names of the applicants. We can see the status, and really we can also see now within seconds, and maybe the colleagues from the Inter will catch up on this. Normally a trademark search takes a bit longer, but here we have done it in a few seconds, no obstacles found, and we can now continue to the EU trademark application as we have no clear obstacles. And at the trademark application stage, we have another AI infused tool, which is the pre-assessment checks. We will not go into detail on this today, but it's actually a self-assessment tool for the parties, which allows to detect if a trademark is deceptive. For example, a trademark filing containing the term T in the image. So like, and then the list of goods contains coffee. This is a particular case where this tool would allow us to notify the customer that the trademark may be subject to refusal. And now we come again to our artificial intelligence and interplay with the trademark examiner. And here I would like to call in first Pablo. He will talk with us about the examination of absolute grounds for refusal and the absolute grounds support tool that we are using at the EUIPO at this stage. Pablo, the floor is yours. Thanks for joining.
Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. Okay, then as Philipp was mentioning, I'm going to show you the tool that we call AG support tool. Basically, it's a tool that we use during our absolute ground examination here internally by our AG examiners in order to decide if one trademark is AG okay or not. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. First of all, I would like to mention that this tool has a lot of functionalities in order to help us with the absolute ground examination. For instance, we check in databases like GIView, plant varieties, and so on, okay? But in this demo, I will focus on those functionalities that are powered by artificial intelligence. The first one is what we call search image. It's the same thing explained by Philipp in his presentation, but now it's more adapted to the absolute grounds needs, okay? For instance, imagine that I have this trademark, okay? And in order to decide if it is distinctive or not, it's a very, very good practice in order to increase consistency to check previous similar cases in the area of AE, okay? And basically, this is searching in more than 2 million trademarks, okay? And as you can see, the results in some cases are very, very relevant. For instance, this one is very, very similar to the one that I'm trying to examine. And if this one was considered okay, for me, it's a hint to consider as well the one that I'm currently checking, okay? As you can see as well, and it's something that is very important to highlight, maybe the order is not perfect because one could think that this one is more relevant than this one, for instance. Yes, we are aware of this. Technology is not perfect yet, but for us it's very important that instead of having to check all the trademarks in the register, we have here the most relevant and similar trademarks, okay? This is something very useful for AG exams, okay? Then, as well, I wanted to show you another functionality, okay? For instance, imagine this trademark, okay? Here we have some characters that are, I think that are Japanese ones, okay? But according to our practice, these trademarks are purely figurative, I mean, without verbal elements. However, sometimes examiners need to see if there are, for instance, GIs in conflict with this trademark and several use cases, okay? And it's very difficult for us because we don't have these characters in our keyboards to run these searches, okay? Because of it, we have included another functionality powered by artificial intelligence that is the text recognition, okay? Basically, oops, if I click here, then there is a process supported by artificial intelligence that reads the image and give me the specific characters, okay? And then, of course, I can copy them and now run some searches, see if there is a potentially a GI in conflict with my trademark and so on, okay? Another functionality supported by artificial intelligence that I wanted to show you is the phonetic search, okay? Then imagine that instead of this trademark, now I'm going to simulate a different one, okay? Typical example is, I don't know if you are aware, but normally when we receive trademarks, sometimes we receive this type of verbal elements. For instance, I'm introducing the trademark good for me. Imagine that I have to examine this trademark, okay? And sometimes when, as I was saying, when we receive this trademark for, instead of being in the normal way of writing for, is in a number, okay? But the meaning of this in English is good for me, okay? Then, of course, for a normal search for and the number and the word are not similar, okay? But when I do the phonetic search, normally this goes a bit faster, but today the internet is very, very slow, okay? then a part that of the trademark good for me, I have, for instance, this one, good for me, okay? Because phonetically it's the same thing, okay? It's a very, very similar trademark, and I could use this one, or for instance, this one, in order to decide if my trademark is okay or not okay from an absolute grounds point of view, okay? This is very, very important in order to foster consistency, okay? Because it's very important for our applicants that our decisions are consistent, okay? Then the very last tool that I want to show you is TM Meaning, okay? Then let's try to invent another example here. You know that in EUIPO, we do the examination in the 23 languages, okay? Of course, we as examiners, we don't know the 23 languages of the European Union, okay? Then basically we have a tool called TM Meaning that when we introduce an input, when we have a trademark with a verbal element, it gives me the meaning of each one of the words in the 23 languages, okay? Because in some cases, maybe I have a trademark that I think that has a meaning in English, but as well has meanings in other languages, okay? I'm going to try, for instance, this trademark is one that I had last week, okay? And the meaning, that's another thing that is very, very important. Normally we receive the trademarks, let's say, or sometimes without spaces. I mean, all the words are together, okay? Then TM Meaning is able to propose me splits of the denomination, and all the potential combinations are considered, okay? And, okay, maybe because this is exactly without any split, but for instance, let's try to put my bartenders, okay? Then now, if it is working properly today, the tool should split this denomination in all the potential subwords that the tool is considered relevant in the 23 languages, okay? For instance, in this case, even if I have received the trademark without spaces, is providing me two splits, my and bartenders, okay? Providing me as well the meaning of the different words in the different languages, okay? Then basically this is what I wanted to show you, okay? And of course, now I pass the floor to the next step in the examination, that is relative grounds. And Sam or Philip, if you want, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Pablo. So very impressive, despite the slow internet. We have seen we can dissect signs, we can examine the signs and the meanings and against the absolute grounds. And as you know, or as you may know, at least at the EUIPO, we do not cite earlier trademarks as an ex officio obstacle, but we have an opposition-based system. So earlier rights owners must actively invoke their earlier rights in opposition proceedings. And this is where Sam comes in. Hi, Sam. I thank you for coming and for making this presentation.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. So I will show you how we are using AI to help us in the comparison of goods and services, which of course is a very time-consuming and difficult part, and actually the most error-prone part of our relative grounds decisions. Before I start, so that you can better see the different results we can get and understand them, I have here on screen our similarity tool. This is a tool where we add different pairs, which are actually binding on examiners to follow. So this sets our office practice. So it's very important that the examiners are able to identify which pairs we have in this tool. And currently, you can see here we have more than 20,000 pairs in the tool. So this is another tool, and this is the tool we are going to talk about. This is incorporated as a support tool for examiners when comparing the goods and services. So here you get the list of the earlier mark that has been invoked in an opposition or cancellation, and these are the contested terms in the contested mark. Before I start showing you the results we have here, I actually wanted to briefly explain how the AI works in this respect for finding results. So I will just quickly share a presentation about this. So the semantic search that we use in goods and services comparisons, it's conducted to find a close match with pairs in the similarity tool, which is the tool I've shown you just now, which is binding on examiners. And as I mentioned, there are around 20,000 pairs in this tool, but it also searched from previous opposition decisions. And in January 2022, it searched around 400,000 decisions. And as of today, it actually searches 630,000 previous decisions. So of course, as soon as we notify new decisions, then those decisions are scanned and also searched by the artificial intelligence. So the algorithm used always tries to find the best matched pair for a given pair. So this will be the terms and the classes. And the semantic search closeness gives an indication of how close two pairs are semantically. So how close the words are in a semantic way. And a closeness of 100 would mean that the output pair is exactly the same as the pair we have searched. So this is now used in slightly different ways. We can, you will see it later on when we go back to the goods and services comparer, but we have a button where we can click on run comparison, and then the system will automatically make a make a search, trying to find the best matches for what the terms we are comparing. And it returns up to 5 pairs, which have at least 95% of closeness. So 1 would be an exact match, and then it goes proportionally down if the words are not exactly the same. We can also manually drag and drop pairs. We will see this later on. And when we are dragging and dropping pairs, the threshold is slightly different. So it tries to find the best matches for each pair using this semantic search. And it returns up to 100 pairs, which have at least 90% of closeness. So of course, we will get more results if we do it manually. And then apart from what is incorporated in the tool itself, we have a standalone semantic search, which is provided or accessible through a separate link. And there, the examiner can use any terms to search freely, and the system tries to find the best matches for each pair using the semantic search again, returning pairs which have at least 70% of closeness. But of course, the less closeness we have, the less reliable the pair is, or it may not be exactly comparable to what we have to compare. So now that I've explained a little bit how it works, as I said, first we run the comparison. I've already done this, so we don't have to wait, especially because the internet connection can be a bit slow, etc. And when you're sharing, it also gets slower. So here I've already run the comparison, and the results found are shown in blue. So all terms I have in blue, then the system has found something. In gray, the system has not found anything based on the threshold set for the run comparison, which, as I said, is 95% closeness. We can also click on this button to show only highlighted terms. So this may make it more easy to see where we have results automatically. But I will leave it open for now because I will also drag and drop. But now let's first have a look at the results here for accumulators. So you can see if I click on this, then it will tell me that it's found a result with charges for electric batteries of the earlier mark. So I can click here and then I see that it's found. This is the source. So it's found from a previous decision, one result that is 0.98 closeness. So it's not exactly the same, but it's very close. So you can see here we have battery charges in particular accumulators versus accumulators. And this is the term we have searched, or the terms. So we see here we only have one result. Now what I wanted to show you is, as I mentioned, we have a standalone search tool as well, which is provided through a separate link. So if we click on this link, we get to a separate tool where the examiner can freely indicate the terms. And here the results are down to 0.70 in closeness. Just to show you this, this is actually the exact same pair we have in the decision to be taken. And here, as you can see, apart from the result found automatically by the system, we have this one, for example, which is 0.93. So all these results do not appear because they are less than 0.95. However, as I mentioned, the benefit of this freestanding tool is that I can change the search terms if I need to, because, as mentioned, that this search is based on semantic closeness. So it will take into account all words appearing in the search term. So, for example, it will take into account the word for, and it may then make the results found less reliable or less comparable. So I can also change to simply say battery charges, because at the end of the day, that is the exact same thing. So if I search for battery charges instead, as you can see, that gives me two results with at least 0.95 closeness. So that is also why it is of benefit for the examiners to be able to slightly tweak the wording of the terms to try and get even better results. Now let's get back and have a look at another example. So we have computer software. Computers, as I mentioned, automatically it's up to 5 pairs. So here you can see this is an exact match. It's exactly what I have searched for, and this comes also from a decision. But as I mentioned, it also searches in the similarity tool. So it has also found one result from the similarity tool. And as mentioned, this is actually binding on examiners. And here it's 0.98 simply because it has a comma, and here it's without comma but with brackets instead. But it means the exact same thing. So as an examiner, I can see that this outcome I must follow. The other option I mentioned in the presentation is that examiners can drag and drop any terms, and then the results will be slightly different. So I'm going to drag this now to, let's see if it works. Otherwise, we will continue. Okay, I don't know what happened because it worked this morning, so I don't know why. Here, what I wanted to show you is that it finds a pair. You can see here what we are searching for is downloadable software in the nature of a mobile application for internet-based dating and matchmaking. And it found a pair from a previous decision, which was with also downloadable software for flirting. And of course, flirting and dating and matchmaking, they refer to the same thing, and still it was able to find those results. So it was a relevant result with the 0.93 closeness, which is why it didn't automatically come up, because it was less than 95, but more than 90. And then apart from semantic search results as such, we also get direct results from the similarity tool, but this is not so much AI based, but this is an exact match. And because the similarity tool is binding, we must give priority to results from the similarity tool. And just one last thing before I'm finished, I wanted to show you another very useful thing, if it allows me. Okay, now something went completely wrong. You saw the results before, and apart from giving you the results, it includes the relevant paragraph from the decision actually comparing the goods in the pair it has found. And there is a link to the decision. And I have actually prepared this, that when you click on this link, I can actually open up the actual decision where the comparison comes from. And this is the paragraph that is automatically extracted by the AI semantic search and included in the search results for the examiner. So this means that the examiner can copy and paste the reasoning from the decision. And this is also very useful because, of course, we have to justify the outcomes in our comparisons. So it's really important to not only to see the result itself, but also the reasoning leading to that result. And this is a very useful part, and it works really great because the AI manages to identify the relevant paragraphs really well. It's unfortunate that it stopped working, but I hope it's been clear still. And that was all I wanted to show you. So now it's only if you have some questions.
Yeah, excellent, Sam. So I think it showed very well, more or less, what the tool is about, and we have this internet connectivity trouble. So, and we also see it's still a young technology. But please let us know if there are any questions from the audience, because we are getting to the end of this first session. I see Gonzalo maybe is, or Coro. You have anything in the chat?
Oh, yes. Thank you for the.
Gonzalo.
Yeah, Corey, go ahead, please.
It's okay. You can make the first question.
Yes. Thank you for the presentation. This thing has been very interesting and very clear. Or as you have been working with you these years, so I had always this question in mind, and I would like you to ask you about this debate we always had on the possible human intervention in the future at decisions, or the fully automated decisions. So what can we expect in the future? That's a question I always been in debate on the operations department, and I would like you to know your opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe a very first quick answer is, as we have seen now with Pablo and Sam as well, all our results generated by artificial intelligence, they are always still subject to human revision. So we have a human-centric approach. Actually, we use AI and new technologies to assist us in decision taking, but the decisions are taken by humans, by, for example, us three and a number of other colleagues in the operations department. Yeah, but our aim maybe until 2030 is to increase always further this automated or this AI-assisted decision taking. This is maybe what I can say. Pablo, would you or Sam, you have anything to add?
Yes, basically a similar statement as you did. For the time being, artificial intelligence is a way to help examiners, to assist, to make our lives easier, okay? But I think that, this is my personal opinion, we are far from replacing examiners by automated decisions, okay? It can help a lot, because, for instance, the example that I showed you, instead of checking all the trademarks, figurative trademarks in the history of the office, I have a pre-listed number of trademarks, okay? But I still need to check one by one to see if they are relevant for my case or not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. As a follow-up question, so you do not see AI as taking over most of the tasks of examiners. I think this is a question of many examiners.
Yeah, exactly.
AI will not.
And the AI is actually always waiting for us to trigger it and to activate it. So if we want an AI-based search result, we have to click on a button, like for example, the run comparison, and then it is not starting without us, so to say, for the time being. Is this correct, Sam? Even with the comparer, right? We do not open a file and then suddenly have already everything decided. So
No, I see the same. I mean, it's certainly helpful to search for big data. What would take us hours to search, it will take not even a second for AI to bring up relevant results. So as I see it, the importance is to try to make the searches as close to what we need to search as possible. And what we have in place today, it's helpful, but it can be even further improved. Because the way we have to interpret terms is not exactly the way that the AI today interprets the terms. So there is room for improvement, but it's already very helpful. And of course, as you mentioned, the results would have to be validated by the examiners still. So it's more of an aid.
Thank you very much. We have another question here. Does the database include information only from EUIPO applications from the EUIPO only? I think the question is for the work that you do, not TMView. But maybe you can discuss the difference between the database that you access and TMView, just for clarity.
yes, so I think this understanding is correct. We have, so to say, where the AI assistance comes in, this is at least in the area of comparison of goods and services. This is exclusively based on first instance decisions and the similarity tool. If you look into the similarity tool, you will also find for specific terms interpretations of national trademark offices within the European Union. So if you have a pair, you can see in a tree which offices follow this pair approach. But what we are using is basically AI for our first instance decisions, and also not the general court decisions are not that yet there, and I think also not boards of appeal. But in the end, these are taken into account when drafting decisions or when looking in the similarity tool. So we have other interpretations also on board. This more or less correct, yeah, I would say. And we are running out of time with the first session. We do not want to cause here any further or any delay already with the first session. I think we were scheduled until 9:10 and now it's 9:16. But we are, of course, happy to take any other questions. Exactly.
There's just one more question regarding the goods and services comparer. How do you train in the use of the tool? And are you using only the NIST classification or other goods and services databases?
Well, of course, we use the NIST classification, but we also use TM class which is a joint effort as well, with harmonized terms. So all terms that appear in team class are acceptable for classification, and that is not relevant only for classification, because many times it's also relevant to help us interpret the scope of protection of terms, the nature of goods, in which class they belong. So TM class is also used when comparing goods and services, as well as the similarity tool and the NIST classification, of course, with explanatory notes accessible through EUIPO's website. But that's what we are basing it on, and the 8 factors for assessing similarity that we are using.
Thank you very much, Sam. So sorry, we have one final question. So for the pre-assessment check, how accurate are the results of the tool?
Do you want me to take this one? Okay. It depends a lot on the ground. Let's say that the accuracy for grounds like conflict with GIs, conflict with plant varieties is very high, okay? Then there are others in which, for instance, the one of deceptiveness, we are able to identify around 60-70% of the cases, and the noise is around 10%. Noise means cases in which we give a warning, but in fact, it is okay. For instance, one case called Beyond Coffee for tea is not deceptive, it's okay. Then the machine is not that intelligent, okay? But the percentage of cases of this type is, let's say, small, okay? But then we go to really the most important ground on absolute grounds, that is descriptiveness or non-distinctiveness, okay? Then for this specific one, we are working because it's not still live. And the idea is to be able to detect between 10-15% of the cases. It's not a lot, of course, but we have to think that it's something very, very complex even for a machine, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, Philip, Pablo, and Sam for this very good interactive session. Thank you.